Welcome to the May Financial Check-In with Dr. GMP right here on the Titus II Living podcast. Greetings, and welcome to another financial check-in. This is the May financial check-in for 2024 with Dr. GMP. I do believe that she has been giving out wonderful tools, resources, and tips to help you get financially ready for the year, financially stable, get your budget in order, get things organized, and get yourself in a place spiritually, mentally, and physically where you can move forward in the spirit of excellence, where you are transforming reckless spending into godly stewardship. But the thing is, have you taken note and have you implemented what has been said on these financial check-ins? That is the question. So by all means, please let us know in the comments if you have been implementing anything that she has said. If so, let us know how it's going for you. Do you have any questions? If you do, by all means, send an email to admin@thetitustooliving.com or just put it in the comment section. We'll read it, review it, and she'll come back and answer your questions. If you have any comments about the way things are going for you, put it in the comment section. We'll definitely address it because we want to hear from you. We want to make sure that you are implementing what is being given to you because of the fact that we want you to succeed financially in every area of your life as well. So we hope you're doing great with what you've been hearing from Dr. GMP. And for this month, it is the month of May. We're getting ready for summer. So now let's dig in a little bit with being financially ready for the summer. Dr. GMP, welcome to the Titus II Living podcast again. How are you doing?
I am doing well. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here once again.
Tell everybody what would be your suggestive strategies, I'll say, for getting financially ready for the summer.
Getting ready for summer, it's all about planning. And it's really balancing the planning part and being spontaneous because summer is unpredictable. You never know when somebody's going to have a barbecue or there's an event that comes into town that you don't, necessarily know about ahead of time. But just understanding what it is that you want to do, how long is it going to take, and then understanding the cost of doing that. So for a single person with no kids, it's really easy to just get up and make a decision. I'm going to do this. It's going to take me a weekend. I can pack a bag, jump in my car. If I don't have it when I need it, I can buy it when I get there, that type of thing. But when you have a family, especially if you have lots of smaller children, it does take a little bit more planning because you have to pack all the stuff that they need. And it's not always feasible to go, I'm going to run to the nearest mall or I'm going to run to the nearest store because babies or small children need specific things that are not always readily available. So whether you're taking an afternoon, you're taking a long weekend, or taking a 2-week trip, it's all about that planning, whether you need a long time to plan or just a couple hours to plan. So if you're just doing an afternoon activity or a weekend activity, you could probably do the research and plan that in an hour or so, depending on what you're trying to do. If you're going to be gone for a week or 2 weeks, heaven forbid you have to, bless you, heaven forbid you have to get on a plane or rent a car or go get on a train or, some elaborate means of transportation. That requires more planning and more time because you have to weigh the cost. Airplane tickets are expensive. Train tickets are expensive, depending on where you're going and what you're doing. So you can't just, I'm gonna catch a flight out on the next. No. You need to plan that.
Okay, talk more about that because talk about especially just showing up for like train rides, because being spontaneous for those that just feel like they just can get up and just make a run for it. If they show up at a train depot or whatnot and they want to catch a train just to explore in a particular area, would you recommend that, or would you recommend no, take the time? Because I think I know the answer, but just for the sake of conversation, recommend to take the time to plan it, because you may not know what will happen when you show up. Okay.
Yeah, if it was before COVID, I could say you could get away with just showing up and trying to get a ticket and going somewhere. But after COVID, you really need to at least go online and see what options are available. There are two types of train rides. There are local train rides that go within an hour or two or up to 4 hours to a centralized location. Or if you're going cross country, like the old chuck wagon back in the day and the old Western Union trains they used to have running, those take days, and those are week trips. And so, definitely for those longer trips where you're going to be on the train overnight, you definitely want to plan ahead. But any of the local trains that are going, a city over, a state over, back in back before COVID, you would be able to just go and buy a ticket. But now with spacing and all of that, and having to pre-plan and protect everybody, you really need to at least just go online and see if they're running, and if they have any tickets available, because tickets really go fast.
And that's a good point. Even with regarding planning, talk about procrastinating in the planning.
So procrastination is really not your friend. I'll use myself as an example. I was going to take my son on a birthday trip, on a train ride, and it was on a train ride that I had been on before, and I thought he would enjoy it for his birthday. Yeah, I was so glad I planned an entire day of stuff around the town that we were in, because when we got to that train station, they were like, "Oh no, you need to buy the tickets at least 4 weeks in advance."
Mm.
Because this train is booked. And so, in that particular weekend, the train wasn't even running that weekend, because of maintenance and things that they had going on. So if I had just took the 5 minutes to look at the train online and see what was going on, I may not have known that they were down for maintenance, but I would have known that there were no tickets available for sale that weekend.
And that's a good point because, all right, if you get to the point where you have the time to sit down and thoroughly plan, like you recommended we do, took the time to thoroughly plan, then you can know at least, all right, well, I got the ticket set, or there may be a technical error or issue or whatnot, that may have the train down, whatever the case may be. At least you would know ahead of time versus, you know, getting down to the wire and, oh, well, that's not going to work out. But on the flip side, talk to us about having other activities scheduled around a particular trip so that if there is, whether an unforeseen circumstance or situation, you can still enjoy the trip and still enjoy the travel. So let's talk about other activities around that.
So yes, I highly encourage everyone to go to the next city or go to something within driving distance, or a Greyhound bus distance, or an Uber, or whatever the case may be, and kind of see what that town offers and kind of build your experience around a couple of things in that city or in that town. I've had some wonderful experiences in areas what I call small town USA, where I was looking for a museum I had never been into, or something special about a small little town that only they offer. Like they have the best cotton candy, or they have the best view of whatever. And so I just researched the town a little bit, and I've had the impulse to wake up on a Friday morning and look at my calendar and say, "Oh, I have a free weekend. Let me see what's available." And so whether you're going to event.com or any of the local sites where they're telling you what's going on in the summertime, there's lots of festivals and lots of things for a family, and some things just for adults where kids are not allowed to be around. It doesn't take a whole lot of planning. It doesn't have to be an elaborate thing. You just take 5 minutes, take an hour, and just see what the city or what the area has to offer, and then make your plans accordingly.
And even with that, sometimes people or some people would say, um, they say, okay, well, I can take an hour and just do the research, and but then when it comes down to it, there's the excuse of, well, I don't know where to start. So what
Mhm.
do you say to that?
If somebody doesn't know where to start, Google is always a good option. I use Google Maps all the time. I just look up a city, and when you look up a city, it shows the map and it shows your major entertainment areas, your government areas, sometimes your schools or libraries, and you just kind of, scroll around and see anything interesting. Then, if you see anything interesting, then you go and open another window and start Googling and getting information on what is it that you're seeing, whether it be the name of a business, restaurant, or what have you. If you want to be truly, truly spontaneous and just pack a bag and go, or book a flight and go, just be wise and be mindful and make sure that you have an emergency plan. So if I know I'm driving cross country, I just took a trip about a year ago where I was driving to New Mexico. I was taking my brother to his new place of residence. Um, I strategically knew how far I had to drive and where I was going to end up when it got dark, because it took 3 days to get there and it was going to take me 3 days to get home. You don't want to end up in an area where you don't have a way of help. Whether you need gas, you need food, if something happens to your car, you always want to make sure that you have some avenue to be able to get help. You don't want to be stranded out in the middle of nowhere with no cell service. We've all seen those movies. They don't go well.
Talk about even further how you strategically planned and mapped out the trip so you knew, okay, I'm going to land here at this time, so forth and so on. So talk more about that, because that's a really good point.
So using Google Maps, I saw that it was going to take, like, it was 21 hours start to finish. And so I know that I can only drive between 6 and 8 hours a day, depending on traffic. And so I calculated the miles. So however many miles it was, I calculated how many miles I was willing to drive per day. And then I divided that by the total, and that's how I got 3 days. In looking at the map, you can drag your little mouse over the little road sign and you can see, from point A to, 8 hours later or so many miles later, you should end up in this area. So I made sure that I knew in that area that we were going to land. I looked at hotels that we could possibly stop at. I would book the hotel in advance if it made sense. I knew where the hospitals were, emergencies, things of that nature. Just kind of looked around using Google Maps just to make sure that when I landed in an area, I had what I needed. And sure enough, that information paid off, because when I was going there, I wasn't alone. So I was with my brother, and I actually selected a hotel that looked wonderful, had wonderful reviews. But something must have changed in the
Oh,
time
no.
that the information online was available, and by the time we got there, because it was a very unsavory and unsafe area as far as clientele and the hotel itself. So I knew coming back, since I was going to be by myself, that was not an area or a hotel that I was going to stay at. So because I did the research and I already knew 3 or 4 hotels in the area, I went a step further. Okay, I'm going to be by myself. Where do I need to be? I even called the hotel that I selected to make sure that it would be safe for me. And if I needed extra accommodations to ensure my safety, would they do that? And the hotel was absolutely. We have single people traveling all the time. These are the things that we do to make sure that we're safe. And since that's a concern of yours, there's a particular area in the hotel where we're going to put you.
We need people to consider everything and not just, oh, the trip is paid for, we're ready to go. Consider everything. So talk more about that, because that is the sweet spot of this conversation.
It is. And I have another personal story, because I've been traveling not only by myself, but as a single mother as well. And when I was living in Indiana, and I had an aunt that moved to West Des Moines, Iowa.
Okay.
And so I was going to spend the weekend with her. So we drove from Indiana to West Des Moines, Iowa, and we had to stop for gas. So this is like the very, very beginning of me kind of venturing out and doing more driving and road trips. So I developed this process because of this particular incident.
Okay.
I just got in my car. I believe I gassed up, but I did not understand. My car was dying at the time. It was towards the end of its life. I had a Chevy Cavalier. They don't even make those anymore. Um, but because it was at the end of its life, it was going through gas very, very fast, and there was nothing I could do about it. So I stopped at what looked like it was broad daylight. So I went during the day on a Friday afternoon. I was in Nowhere, USA, and I stopped for gas, and it was one of those. It didn't look too empty, but it didn't look too full. I went in, and it was before the times where you could, all the smaller countries had, or the smaller cities had, where you could pay at the pump. So I had to go inside. So I went inside, left my son, at the car because he was about 7 or 8, old enough to be all right. Went inside, paid for the gas, came back out, pumped the gas. As I'm pumping the gas, there was a huge sign. I'm talking 22 by 30 on the side of the building that said, "If you need help, do not come inside, call the police."
Whoa.
And right when I'm reading that, my son is like, "Mom, I have to use the bathroom. Can I go inside?" Well, by this point, I'm about halfway done pumping. I said, "No, we're going to get back into this car and we're going to go and drive to the next city." Because I had, gas was going, you could go further
Okay.
on that.
Yeah.
So we got in our car and we left because something happened multiple times for there to be a sign. And so I vowed right then and there, I would not be stopping anywhere without knowing ahead of time, because my goodness, what could have happened to where the owner of the establishment said, I'm telling you in advance, I can't help you, and I'm
Right.
not going to help you, but this is an area where things happen, so I just need you to go ahead and call the police.
Right. Right. Exactly. What happened? What? Lord have mercy. Lord. Yeah, okay. I hope you're all
Yeah.
right.
So that was the beginning of my, I need to plan better. I'm not just gonna hop in my car, especially I was thinking more of my son, really, before, for myself. But yes.
And
So you do.
I think I'm so glad you said that, gave that story, because I think a lot of people need to understand that you yourself have been through things that has to help develop the process that you follow today. And so because of course, some people will say, well, she's Dr. GMP, well, she already knows, what to do. Well, she went through to be able to help develop these processes. So for you, those that are watching and listening, it's the same thing for you. You'll bump your head, you'll make some mistakes, you'll see some situations such as the big sign that says call the police, don't go inside. You may see some little warning signs like that, and that should help you make some better decisions about your planning and your strategies regarding travel. It is so important. I think that is outstanding. But I do want to get to the financial part, because
Mhm.
we'll stay on the travel part, because yay. All right, so let's talk about the financial part. Talk about all right, we're in the month of May. We're getting ready to venture into the summertime activities and children out of school and things like that. How should individuals get summer ready financially at this point?
At this point, if you have not saved up for what you're going to do, your best friend is going to be planning. You use your online tools, talk to people, see what schools are offering. If your children are going to summer schools, if you are going to festivals or planning a trip, planning is really going to be your best friend, just because there's so much going on. Things change on a dime. Even if there's a festival, they could get rained out. There could be weather inclement. Just because it's sunny outside doesn't mean that it's necessarily conducive to be outside, because we're in the South, we're in Georgia. It could get too hot. And you must think about that. So, and you have to put on clothes because you can't go everywhere half naked or naked.
Tell
So,
it.
so you have to wear clothes and you have to be outside, but we don't want your health to be um, put in jeopardy. So you just need to plan and understand there are a lot of free events. So there's hiking, there's just driving through an area. There's scenic routes. So there's a lot of mountainous areas in every state, no matter where you live at. There's always an area where there's lots of green and lots of undeveloped um, area, but that has a road path. There's a paved road. Please get a paved road. Um,
Yes.
Side
Yes.
note, I was exploring in
Mhm.
LaGrange, Georgia, and I decided to take some back roads that I wasn't familiar with. Um, yes, yes, I made it. My car made it, but
Mhm.
that was a very, very there was some rough terrain back there.
Mhm. Mhm.
So again, do the research, make sure that you are financially planning for what you have to do. Make sure you have enough gas, that you understand how many miles that you can get to the gallon, so that you are able to gas up or select a gas station that is helpful to you. Because it doesn't help you to go to a gas station that has mostly diesel and you have to wait 3 hours to get to the regular pump.
Oh, that's not good. Oh, that's not good. Oh, that's not good. So what else? What other tips would you provide? Because we're talking about how to be financially ready for the summer. So even with the ideas of the planning and strategies and festivals and all of that, what about individuals that become very ambitious because it is the summertime? They want to do everything. They want to do everything. They want to go to all the festivals. They want to go to all the activities. They just, it's the summertime. We're inspired. Let's go. Talk
Mhm.
about um, the danger of being too ambitious without finance. Talk about that.
You don't want to get to any place where you don't have enough money. Um, it's just it is what it is. You want to be there. You want to be seen. You want to see people. Um, Understand that type of mindset. Then you want to be somewhere where there is free. If you're in other places, the cost can stack up on you and you not even know. Or you can get somewhere and then be miserable because you spent the money to get there, but now you don't have enough money left over to do anything else.
Mm, mm,
Perfect example is some of these festivals.
okay.
It's free to get in, but the cost of food is astronomical.
Yeah.
For one person, it could cost you up to $40 just to get a meal and a beverage. So if all you brought was a 50 and parking was $10, you're done as soon as you eat.
Yeah.
And so if the establishment is not engaging enough, or you don't go with friends, a lot of times you need to go with friends and not go by yourself, so that you can pass the time and enjoy the experience more through that camaraderie, so that you're not solely dependent upon your finances for the enjoyment.
Mm,
Uh, so you really have to be selective about where you're going and what you're doing, and making sure that you have enough money ahead of time to get there and to get back and to enjoy yourself.
and even with that, talk about the value of talking to people. The value. They can't call me right now. Okay, hold on 1 second. You might be. Hold on 1 second. Okay, I'm gonna come back and record. Hold on 1 second.
Mhm.
Okay, all right. Yippee. All right. So talk about the value of talking to people, because I'm sure there's so many conversations that can be had between two or three or more people, just talking about and sharing places they've been, because that's how you and I have done. So talk about the value of talking to people and getting to know places they've been, things they've done, things like that.
Yes. So if you have an idea or you're not sure where to start, talk to somebody. Ask somebody that you know is well traveled or even not. People go places and don't tell people all the time. So just strike up a conversation with somebody that you know. Have you heard about this festival? Have you heard about this location? I've talked to many people. When I first moved to the South from the Midwest, I didn't know anything. And I did a lot of, can you send me the address? Whenever our church would go anywhere, you know, it was assumed that everybody knew where it was. No, I need, give me the address. I don't know where I'm going. But just having that conversation, asking them what is it about? What typical, you know, what type of people go there? Is it something for everybody? Is it kid friendly? Is it family friendly? Is it single friendly? My own personal experience, I've gone to things, you know, when I wasn't with the Lord, I was trying to be out there and be an adult and, you know, live that single, fast life and, you know, just have wonderful life experiences that I could write in my diary. And God had other plans. Every place I tried to go, I went on family night or I went on newlywed night.
Oh, mercy. Mercy now.
I was surrounded by couples and I was surrounded by families with children. I was not surrounded by other single people.
The Lord worketh all things well.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. And I thank God for that. But just having a conversation with somebody and gleaning from that wisdom will help you to avoid pitfalls and avoid being someplace, especially with your children, that you don't need to be at. There was some family event one time that I had went to that it was fine during the day, but after 10 o'clock, it was like the music changed, the scenery changed, the people changed. It was like, what happened? Where are we at? What are we doing? And so it's very, you know, it could be very kid friendly, you know, during daylight hours. But when that sun goes down, it could turn into a very different experience. And the particular area that we were at, it was almost like a festival. It was like a festival / block party. And so the signage changed and the menu changed because there were a bunch of vendors. And so, as the sun went down, the things started changing out and music started changing out. And it was like, oh, okay, it's time to go home. We need to be here.
It's time to depart. It is time. Thank you. It's time to depart. Well, that's good information. Now, I want everybody to remember, if you have any questions, you have any comments, you have any, if you even have some places that you've been that you'd like to share with everybody, put it in the comments. If you have any questions, you can email admin@titusiishow.com or put it in the comments. We will check all that and come back and answer and address your comments and questions. But if you want to know more about traveling and being financially ready, as well as having a strategic plan that is sound that covers all the details you need to cover, by all means, reach out to Dr. GMP at her on her website at by all means, that ain't it. By all means, reach out to Dr. GMP. Go to her website, drgmp.com, and have a conversation with her, because she will tell you about experiences, tell you more about how you yourself can set up a plan that will be a sound, winning plan for you, your family, and loved ones. Maybe even your enemies might need to consider that as well. All right, so that does it for us with this episode of the Titus II Living podcast for the May Financial Check-In with Dr. GMP. I do hope and pray you receive something of value that you can apply to your life. And as always, know that we love you very, very much in the name of Jesus. And till next time, stay praying, stay believing, stay Titus II Living. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Titus II Living podcast. Be sure to like, subscribe, follow, and share. And also leave a comment. We'd love to hear from you.